Dielectrics. What are dielectrics? Dielectrics are the substances which do not contain free electrons, or the number of electrons are too low to constitute electric current. Number of electrons are too low to constitute electric current. So these are the dielectrics. And in the dielectrics, the electrons are tightly bounded to the nucleus. Electrons are tightly bounded to the nucleus. Tightly bounded to the nucleus. Now, what are the examples of these dielectrics? Examples are mica, wood, plastic, glass, Now, who identified the importance of the dielectrics? Michael Faraday identified the importance of this dielectrics. Importance of dielectrics. Now, what happens when a dielectric slab is placed between the parallel plates? Say this is a parallel plate capacitor. This is a parallel plate capacitor, and a dielectric slab is introduced between the parallel plates. What happens when we place this dielectric substance between the two parallel plates? Now in this case, what happens is that the capacitance is increased. Charge on the plates are increases, charge on the parallel plate increases, thereby the capacitance of the capacitor increases. Capacitance of capacitor is increased. Now whenever we place this dielectric between the parallel plates, suppose this plate is given a positive charge and this plate is given as a negative charge. Now the capacitance is increased. Capacitance of capacitor increases. Why the capacitance is increases? Because the charge is increased. Because charge is increased. Now, what is an electric dipole moment? What is an electric dipole moment? An electric dipole moment, or simply what is an electric dipole? Then we will define what is an electric dipole moment. Now what is an electric dipole? This is one charge and this is another charge. The magnitude of the charges are same and they are opposite charges. Two equal and opposite charges here are separated by a distance. Here these two charges are separated by a distance, and this distance is nothing but 2L. Equal and opposite charges is separated by a fixed distance is called as the electric dipole. Two equal and opposite charges separated by a fixed distance is called dipole, electric dipole. Now in this case these are separated by a fixed distance of 2L. Now the product of the magnitude of the charge and the distance between the charges is called as an electric dipole moment. Now we can define the electric dipole moment. What is now electric dipole moment? Electric dipole moment is nothing but this product of magnitude of the charges, magnitude of the charge and the separation between the charges. Okay. Now the electric dipole moment is defined as the product of magnitude of charges, and distance between the charges. This is called as the electric dipole moment. Now, how can we represent this mathematically, or what is the mathematical expression? Here this mathematical expression is the electric dipole moment is denoted by the letter P and is given by P is equal to Q into 2L, the separation, charge and the separation. Say this is equal to 2QL. Now what are the units of this electric dipole moment? What are the units of electric dipole moment? For the charge, the units are nothing but coulomb. For the charge, the units are the coulomb, and for L, length is nothing but the meter. So the units are nothing but coulomb meter. Is it a vector or a scalar? This electric dipole moment is a vector. And what is the direction of this vector? Now the direction is from negative charge to positive charge. Negative charge to positive charge. It is a vector whose direction is from negative charge to positive charge. Electric dipole moment is a vector whose direction is from negative charge to positive charge. Now this is an electric dipole moment. Now what is an atomic view? Dielectrics and an atomic view. Dielectrics and atomic view. Now what is this an atomic view? What dielectrics and an atomic view? What is this? Now if you consider any substance, or any material, the materials are composed of molecules. All the materials are composed of molecules, and the molecules themselves are composed of atoms. Molecules are composed of atoms, and the atoms consist of positive and negative charges in equal magnitudes. See, materials are composed of molecules. And the molecules are composed of atoms. And every atom consists of positive and negative charges in equal magnitude. Atoms consist of positive and negative charges in equal magnitude. Positive and negative charges in equal magnitude. And then what happens? All the positive charges are supposed to be concentrated at a point. All the positive charges are concentrated at a point called as the center of gravity of positive charge. All positive charges are concentrated at a point called center of gravity of positive charge. Center of gravity of positive charge. Now similarly negative charges are also concentrated at a point called center of gravity of negative charges. Center of gravity of negative charges. So there are 2 points. One is a center of gravity of positive charge and another one is the center of gravity of negative charge. Now, is the two center of gravities are coincide or not? If the center of gravity of positive and negative charges are coincide, if the two centers of gravity coincide, then the molecule is called as a non-polar molecule. See, when two centers of gravity coincide, two centers of gravity are coincide, the molecule is known as non-polar molecule. So what is a non-polar molecule? A non-polar molecule is one in which the two centers of gravities are coincide with each other. Two centers of gravity are coincide. Now, another property that we can observe in this non-polar molecule is these molecules are having the symmetrical structure. Molecules are having the symmetric structure. Molecules are having symmetrical structure. Molecules are having the symmetric structure, and in addition to this, the dipole moment is equal to 0. Zero dipole moment. zero dipole moment. Now, what are the examples for this? What are the examples for these non-polar molecules? Now the examples are hydrogen is a non-polar molecule, nitrogen is a non-polar molecule, oxygen is a non-polar molecule, carbon dioxide is a non-polar molecules. Now what phenomena we can observe in this? They have the zero dipole moment, they have this zero dipole moment and having the symmetrical structure. See, symmetrical structure and this zero dipole moment. These 2 points we can observe. Now this can be shown like this. Say suppose you consider this carbon dioxide. Now for this carbon dioxide, this is nothing but this carbon atom. This is a carbon atom. And there are the two oxygens. These two oxygens are, say this side is one oxygen and this side is the second oxygen. Both the oxygens are at the same distance from this carbon. This is oxygen and this is another oxygen. And this is a positive charge and this is a negative and this is a negative. And this is a symmetric structure. And what is an electric dipole moment? It is a vector C. This is the direction of this electric dipole moment, and say this is nothing but this P1 and this is the electric dipole moment P2. Now the resultant dipole moment is equal to that these two are in opposite direction, P1 minus P2. Now these two are in opposite direction, so that this resultant is equal to 0. So the non-polar molecules are having the zero dipole moment and are symmetric structure. And this is the case when the two centers of gravity coincide with each other. Suppose the two centers of gravities are not coincide. Then what happens? When the two centers of gravities are not coincide, the molecule is known as the polar molecule. The polar molecules are unsymmetrical in structure. And have the permanent dipole moment. Those are the properties. Unsymmetrical structure and permanent dipole moment. When the two centers of gravity does not coincide, the molecule is known as polar molecule. And in these polar molecules, unsymmetrical in structure. They have unsymmetrical structure and are having permanent dipole moment. So these are the points that we have to cover. Now the two centers of gravity does not coincide. Then the molecule is known as a polar molecule. This is a polar molecule. And this is unsymmetrical structure. structure and are having the permanent dipole moment. Permanent dipole moment. Permanent dipole moment. Now, this is a polar molecule and the molecules are center of gravities are coincide. Two centers of gravities coincide. Non-polar molecule, symmetrical structure, zero dipole moment. Two centers of gravities does not coincide. Polar molecules, unsymmetrical structure and permanent dipole moment. Now what are the examples for this? Examples are water, H2O, HCl, etc. Now this is, for example, this is an oxygen and this is a hydrogen and this is the second hydrogen. This is a negative charge and this is a positive charge. The dipole moment is negative to positive charge and this side is from negative to positive charge. Say this is P1 and this is P2. The resultant is this is the P. So the resultant dipole moment is equal to that P1 plus P2. P1 plus P2. Now this is about this polar and non-polar molecules. This is one plate and this is the second plate of a parallel plate capacitor and a dielectric slab is placed between these two. This dielectric slab, in a dielectric slab, the positive and negative charges are distributed randomly. Likewise. And this is a positively charged plate and this is a negatively charged plate. This is a positive charge and a negative charge. Now when this what happens to this dielectric substance whenever it is placed between this electric field? Now here, whenever the charges are appear on the plates, you can observe an electric field from this side to this side. This is an applied electric field. This is say which is nothing but E0, applied electric field. Now what happens when this dielectric is placed in an electric field? You can observe there is a separation of charges within this dielectric substance. Now the negative charges are moved towards the positively charged plate and the positive charges are moved towards the negative charge plate. There is a separation of charges within this dielectric substance. That is nothing but, suppose this is the dielectric substance. In this you can find the negative charges comes nearer to the positively charged plate. This is a positively charged plate. And the positive charges are moved to the opposite side, which is towards the negatively charged plate. This is a positively charged plate. This is a positive charge and this is a negative charge. Negatively charged plate. So this is an applied field which is nothing but, and this is the induced field. This is the induced field. The induced field is in opposite direction of this applied field. And this is nothing but say E dash. Now what is the net effect? Is nothing but this is resultant electric field is nothing but the vector sum of these two electric fields. Vector sum of these two, which is equal to that E naught minus E dash. The resultant electric field is equal to the sum of the electric fields E naught and E dash. Thus, if an dielectric substance is placed in an electric field, induced surface charges appear. Induced surface charges are appear, which tends to weaken this original field. Say resultant field is equal to E naught minus E dash. Weakens this original field. Okay, this induced charge, surface charge, weakens the applied field or this original field within this dielectric substance. And moreover, here we observe there is a separation of charges. There is a separation of charges. This separation of positive charges from the negative charges, the net effect of the applied field, is to separate the positive charges from the negative charges. This effect is known as the polarization of the dielectrics. See, here I am writing. When an electric field is applied, the positive charges are separates from negative charges. Positive charges are separates from negative charges. This effect is known as the polarization of dielectrics. Another point is that when these non-polar dielectrics are placed in an electric field, they are polarized. The dielectrics which are polarized only when they are placed in an electric field are known as the non-polar dielectrics. The non-polar dielectrics are polarized when they are placed in an electric field. Now, what happens when a polar dielectric is placed in an electric field? When the polar dielectrics are placed in an electric field, you can observe the reorientation. And as a result, what will happen? There is an increase in the dipole moment. There is an increase in this dipole moment. And moreover, while they are reoriented, some amount of heat energy is released. Due to the thermal agitation, the alignment will never be perfect. Not all the molecules are aligned perfectly due to the thermal agitation. And in these molecules, you can observe there is an increase in the dipole moment. So when a polar dielectrics are placed in an electric field, the dipole moment is increased. When a polar dielectric is placed in an electric field there is an increase in dipole moment. And the alignment is not perfect. Due to the thermal agitation, the alignment is not perfect. The molecules are not aligned perfectly. They are not aligned perfectly, and there is only a partial alignment of these molecules. And what is a polarization and what is a polarizability? What is a polarization and what is a polarizability? Polarization and polarizability. Now what is this? Already we have discussed what is a polarization. We know what is a polarization. Separation of positive and negative charges when a dielectric is placed in an electric field, called as the polarization. What we can observe there? There you can observe the positive charges are moved towards the negatively charged plate and negative charges are moved towards the positively charged plate. Positively charged plate. So that the polarization occurs. And the process of producing the electric dipoles, which are oriented along the field, is also called the polarization in the dielectrics. Now what happens? See here, the positive and negative charges are separated by a fixed distance, which is nothing but here it produces an electric dipole. The process of producing an electric dipole, which are oriented along the field, is called as the polarization in the dielectrics. And moreover, the electric dipole moment per unit volume is called as the polarization, dielectric polarization. Now what is the dielectric polarization or polarization? The electric dipole moment per unit volume is called dielectric polarization. And it is again denoted by the letter P itself. What is a polarizability? The polarizability is nothing but, here you can observe the separation of charges is increased. With the increase in this applied field. So that here we can say that the induced dipole moment is increases with increase in the electric field. Induced dipole moment is increased with increase in the electric field. The induced dipole moment is increases with increase in electric field. With increase in electric field. So that you can say that this induced dipole moment is proportional to the intensity of electric field. So that the induced dipole moment is proportional to the intensity of electric field, that is P is proportional to this E, or you can write with the introduction of the proportionality constant, and this is alpha E, and this proportionality constant is called as the polarizability. This is polarizability. Alpha is the polarizability. The polarizability is defined as the induced dipole moment per unit electric field, or that is, from this equation you can write that alpha is equal to P by E. This is nothing but the induced dipole moment per unit electric field. So that it is also defined as polarizability. Polarizability is defined as the induced dipole moment per unit electric field. Now this is nothing but this polarizability, dielectric constant. What is a dielectric constant? It is denoted by K. Dielectric constant is denoted by K and is defined as the ratio of capacitance of a condenser with dielectric to the capacitance of the same condenser without dielectric. It is the ratio of the capacitance of the condenser with dielectric to without dielectric. That is K is equal to C by C naught. That is capacitance of the capacitor or condenser with dielectric to the capacitance of the capacitor without dielectric. Now this is nothing but this dielectric constant, and the same thing can also be defined in another way. Now this is nothing but K is equal to V naught by Vd. V naught by Vd. What is this V naught and what is this Vd? Potential difference without dielectric to the potential difference with dielectric. Without dielectric to with dielectric is called as that is potential difference without dielectric potential difference with dielectric. Potential difference with dielectric. It is also defined as the dielectric constant. How we got this equation? Now we know that C is equal to Q by V. C is equal to Q by V. Therefore, from this equation you can write that C naught is equal to Q by V naught. Now take the ratio between these two. This is nothing but V naught by Vd. V naught by Vd. Say this is nothing but another definition. Another definition. Now this is one equation. There are the number of forms for this. This is one, and this is the second equation, second form of this dielectric constant. And there is another one which is nothing but from the Coulomb's law you can write. From the Coulomb's law, there is a force of attraction or repulsion between the electric charges. Suppose the magnitude of the charges are Q1 and Q2 and are separated by a distance r, then F naught is nothing but 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught in the free space, 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 by r square. And when this medium is, when there is a medium, when the charges are placed in some medium, and this is in the free space, and when it is in the medium, you can write that F is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon. 1 by 4 pi epsilon. The charges are the same and the distance is same. 1 by 4 pi epsilon Q1 Q2 by r square. Now take the ratio between these two. Take the ratio between these two. That is nothing but F by F naught. F by F naught is equal to, these 2 gets cancelled and 4 pi gets cancelled. Therefore, this remaining equation is nothing but that epsilon naught by epsilon. The remaining equation is epsilon naught by epsilon. And this is nothing but this 1 by k. This is the dielectric constant. Or you can write that k is equal to epsilon by epsilon naught is equal to F naught by F. This is in another form of dielectric constant. K is equal to Kg. Now these are the various definitions of this dielectric constant. Electric susceptibility. What is an electric susceptibility? We know that this polarization is directly proportional to the applied electric field. Already we have seen that this induced dipole moment is proportional to the applied field. And the another thing is that this polarization is proportional to this electric field. That is P, polarization vector, is directly proportional to the electric field E. Or you can write here that P is equal to xi into E. P is equal to xi into E. This is proportionality constant this is a proportionality constant. This is a proportionality constant, and this proportionality constant is called as an electric susceptibility. Is electric susceptibility. This is nothing but an electric susceptibility, and at this stage what you can say that the polarization vector is proportional to electric field. This is one point, and from this you can write that Xi is equal to P by E. Xi is equal to P by E. So that here you can write the ratio of polarization vector to the electric intensity in the dielectric is called as an susceptibility. It is defined as, the electric susceptibility is defined as the ratio of polarization vector to the electric intensity in the dielectric. It is defined as the ratio of polarization vector to the electric intensity in the dielectric. This is nothing but the electric susceptibility. And the same electric susceptibility can also be defined as that Xi is equal to sigma I by E. Induced surface charge density produced in the dielectric. This is another definition. Induced surface charge density produced in dielectric resultant electric field. Electric field in the dielectric. These are the two definitions for the electric susceptibility. What is the relation between DEP? Next, DEP, relation between D, E and P. Now what is D, what is E and what is P? What is D, what is E and what is P? E is nothing but this electric intensity. We know E is an electric intensity, and P is nothing but this polarization, and D is nothing but this electric displacement. This electric displacement at a point is defined as the product of electric field strength at that point and the permittivity of the medium. If epsilon is the permittivity of the medium and E is the applied field, then this D is equal to epsilon E. D is equal to epsilon E. And we know from the dielectric constant, from this dielectric constant, that K is equal to epsilon by epsilon naught. Therefore, this epsilon can be written as K epsilon naught into E. Therefore, this is another one. So, D is equal to K epsilon naught E. Now, what is this D? D is displacement vector. D is the electric displacement. D is electric displacement or displacement vector. And this electric displacement is electric displacement is defined as the product of field strength, electric field strength, electric field strength and permittivity of the medium. Permittivity of the medium. And what are the units for this electric displacement? What are the units for this electric displacement? The units are Coulomb per meter square. Coulomb per meter square. And moreover, this D electric displacement can also be defined as Q by A, and this Q by A is nothing but the charge per unit area, which is nothing but this surface charge density sigma. This D is equal to the surface charge density of free charges. So this is one definition, that D is equal to epsilon E or D is equal to Q by A, and this is numerically or magnitude is equal to the surface charge density. The relation between DEP, and to derive a relation between this D, E and P, you should consider one equation, that Q by K epsilon naught A is equal to Q by epsilon naught A minus Q dash by epsilon naught A. This equation we should consider. Now a dielectric slab is placed between the plates of a parallel plate capacitor or condenser, parallel plate condenser. The medium is polarized. Now the induced surface charges appears. The charge is negative on the surface nearer to the positive charge, and the positive charge is nearer to the negative plate. Q dash is the induced surface charge. The charge Q on the plate is Q, and the induced charge surface charge is nothing but Q dash. The q and q dash are related by this equation. Q and q dash are related by this equation. And from this equation you can write that q by epsilon naught a. From this equation you can write that q by epsilon naught a is equal to q by k epsilon naught a plus q dash by epsilon naught a. And here you can write that q by a is equal to epsilon naught into q by k epsilon naught a plus q dash by a. And this q by k epsilon naught a, what is this q by k epsilon naught a? This q by k epsilon naught a is nothing but the electric field. So that you can write this one as this is epsilon naught into E, and this q dash by A is nothing but this polarization, induced surface charge density or induced charge per unit area is also called as this P, polarization. And what is this q by A? Which is nothing but D. So D is equal to epsilon naught E plus P. Now this is the relation between the three. This is the relation between the three. And here you should remember one more definition for this polarization. Induced surface charge density. Induced charge per unit area is again called as the polarization. And moreover, here at this stage you can obtain a relation between the terms D and P. How we can obtain that relation between D and P? Relation between D and P in terms of E. In terms of E. Now, what is the relation? And D and P in terms of E. And we know that E is equal to Q by K epsilon naught A. Or from this you can write that Q by A is equal to epsilon naught K E. And this Q by A is nothing but the definition of D. So D is equal to K epsilon naught E. Now this is the relation between D and E. The relation between D and E. And this you should remember. This you should remember. And in this again K epsilon naught is again called as the product, is again called as the permittivity. And from the definition of dielectric constant also you can write that K epsilon naught is nothing but epsilon. Therefore here also you can write that D is equal to epsilon E, since K is equal to epsilon by epsilon naught. K is equal to epsilon by epsilon naught. And here also you can say this is the ratio, epsilon by epsilon naught. The ratio of epsilon and epsilon naught is also termed as relative permittivity. Relative permittivity. What is the relative permittivity? The relative permittivity is nothing but this ratio of epsilon and epsilon naught. Permittivity of vacuum is nothing but, or free space, is epsilon naught. Permittivity of medium is nothing but this epsilon, the ratio. Now suppose I substitute this value in this equation. this value in this equation. Now we obtain, say this is equation 2 and this is say equation 1. From equation 1 and 2 you can write that k epsilon naught E is equal to epsilon naught E plus P. Then you can write that P is equal to k epsilon naught E minus epsilon naught E. Now which is epsilon naught E into k minus 1. This is equation 3. From this, see, this P is equal to epsilon naught k minus 1 into E. This xi is equal to epsilon naught into k minus 1. Then you can write that P is equal to xi E, where xi is nothing but this susceptibility. Xi is susceptibility. Therefore, P is equal to xi into E. Now, from this relation, you can write that xi is equal to epsilon naught k minus epsilon naught. Xi is equal to epsilon naught k minus epsilon naught. Now, from this epsilon naught k is equal to epsilon. Therefore, you can write this as epsilon minus epsilon naught. Epsilon minus epsilon naught. Since that k is equal to epsilon by epsilon naught from the definition of dielectric constant. Or you can write that epsilon is equal to xi plus epsilon naught. This is another relation. This is another relation. And one more thing is that k is equal to epsilon by epsilon naught. Now epsilon is nothing but epsilon naught plus xi. That is epsilon naught plus xi by epsilon naught. This is equal to 1 plus xi by epsilon naught. This is another relation. K is equal to, therefore you can write that k is equal to 1 plus xi by epsilon naught. This is another relation. All these relations are useful in solving the problems, or directly the questions may ask basing on these equations. Now this is the relation of k and xi, the relation between k and xi. And another relation is that we know P is equal to xi. P is equal to xi. And another relation that we are going to use is d is equal to epsilon naught E plus P. And in this we can write that d is equal to say epsilon E. D is equal to epsilon E. Therefore epsilon E is equal to epsilon naught E plus xi. Now xi. Now from this you can write that epsilon is equal to epsilon naught plus xi. Epsilon is equal to epsilon naught plus xi. Now from this you can write. And moreover, you can write this as that epsilon by epsilon naught is equal to 1 plus xi by epsilon naught. Or you can write this one as that k is equal to 1 plus xi by epsilon naught. Xi by epsilon naught. Now from this you can write that k epsilon naught minus epsilon is equal to xi. Now epsilon naught minus epsilon naught. This is epsilon naught. Epsilon naught, if we are taking as a common, k minus 1 is equal to xi. This is another relation. Now from this also you can write that equation. I am writing it in another way. By simplifying in another way, I am writing the same equation. Now these are the various equations. Boundary conditions at the dielectric surface. Now what are the boundary conditions? These are nothing but the rules that governing the behavior of E and D at the boundary. At the boundary of dielectric surface. Boundary of dielectric surface. There are two boundary conditions. How many boundary conditions? There are two boundary conditions. And what are they? What are they? First boundary condition is that this normal component of electric displacement vector is continuous across the charge-free boundary between the two dielectrics. The normal component of electric displacement D is continuous across the charge free boundary. Across the charge free boundary between two dielectrics. Between two dielectrics. Now suppose you wanted to represent it by an equation. You can write this one as that D1n is equal to D2n. D1n is equal to D2n. Now the second one is the electric intensity vector. Regarding the electric intensity vector, the tangential component of electric intensity is continuous on both sides of the dielectric. The tangential, this one is the normal component of displacement vector. Now this is a tangential component. The tangential component tangential component of electric intensities. Tangential components of electric intensities are continuous on both sides of dielectrics. Now suppose you wanted to represent it with an equation. You can write this one as that E1t is equal to E2t.